Today we got Darth Vader versus Anakin Skywalker. Two versions of the same character going head to head. Who comes out on top? Let's find out. Anakin Skywalker was once a heroic Jedi Knight, but was seduced by the powers of the dark side, being the Dark Lord known as Darth Vader, and attempted to save the life of his wife and unborn children. However, in spite of everything he has done, there are still remnants of good in him. Even after his transformation into Darth Vader, Anakin was still a skilled fighter, actually used a lot of the same fighting styles. These consisted of Form 5, also to deflect blaster fire with ease, and even block shots from freighters, and Form 4, which is best used in open spaces, it was to block incoming projectiles. In fact, some people were able to figure out that Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker simply by observing his fighting style. However, the new suit significantly limited his speed and agility. It was much stronger and more pain-resistant in comparison. This didn't stop him though, and Vader consistently fought and killed dozens of Jedi, including Jedi Masters. Vader is also very skilled at throwing his lightsaber. He was actually able to down ships with a lightsaber throw. After his transformation into a cyborg, even though his injuries had physically crippled him, Vader believed that the suffering that he experienced had both perfected the soul and freed him from the needs of the flesh, allowing him to concentrate solely on his connection with the Force. Because of this, his connection to the Force didn't suffer, and in fact you could argue that it increased, but it'll stop an AT-AT from stepping on him, bring down spaceships. He can move objects without having to gesture to them, allow him to throw objects with the Force while engaged in lightsaber combat. He's also infamous for the Force choke, and will crush or snap the neck of an adversary. So, let's forget in one corner, one of the greatest villains of all time, the Sith Lord, Darth Vader. But, into the ring, in the corner, Darth Vader before he was Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker. Same backstory. Anakin Skywalker was a heroic Jedi Knight, but seduced by the powers of the dark side and became the Dark Lord known as Darth Vader. So today we're going to be using Anakin Skywalker from Episode 3, just to clarify. It'd be ridiculous to throw Anakin Skywalker from Episode 1 against Darth Vader. Now Anakin is a skilled and capable fighter, to the point where some of the Jedi Order considered him to be the best warrior the Order had during the Clone Wars. Anakin was a practitioner of both Form 4 and Form 5 lightsaber fighting, and is very skilled in both. Form 4 is very aggressive and fast-paced, utilizing acrobatics and leaping strikes for both offense and defense. While it's effective in single combat, it's not great for deflecting blasters, and flaws can be found in prolonged fights. Form 5, though, is a more defensive style, which provides power strikes and defensive postures immediately followed by counter strikes. Anakin is a skilled fighter. He's able to beat Count Dooku in single combat, and Dooku was one of the few people able to match Yoda in terms of skill. Anakin is a higher midichlorian count than Yoda, and was very skilled in telekinesis. However, in combat, Anakin didn't use the Force a ton, and instead relied more on physical combat. This was even the case when he fought opponents who used the Force a ton, like Count Dooku. He was very skilled at throwing his activated lightsaber to attack, though, and guide it with the Force. So who wins? Let's break it down. Now, this is one of the most debatable fights in all of Star Wars. The battle can keep Star Wars fans talking for hours and hours, and still not come to a clear consensus. Who is the more powerful version of Anakin? Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader? Same character, different versions, a paradox to be sure. But who's coming out on top here? That's what we're going to find out. Also, just a note, we're sticking to just canon Star Wars for this video. So, Disney canon. Now, first we're going to take a look at is strength and physicality. So, who's stronger? Well, Darth Vader is routinely and casually able to pick grown men up with just one hand and choke them to death. He's crushed blasters and holocrons in the palm of his hand, broke free of his metal restraints literally right after being given his new robotic body. He's able to use his lightsaber to hack all the way through the leg of an AT-AT. But on the other hand, Anakin is able to physically dominate his former master Obi-Wan Kenobi, even choking out Obi-Wan with one hand, overpower and knock back both Asajj Ventress and Count Dooku, and Anakin was even able to push back against Dooku's Force telekinesis with his own pure strength. He's also been able to routinely knock back droids with his punches and kicks. That's something that Darth Vader can easily do as well. So Vader might technically be stronger thanks to his robotic body, but man, it's not by much at all. They are incredibly close when it comes to strength. So about durability. Well, this is where Vader's cybernetic body can really come in handy again. He's been smacked around by a large super cyborg rancor, proving great blunt force durability. He's been unaffected by small explosions, being called large explosions, and he's started explosions and blasts from an AT-AT. He's taken force lightning from the Emperor, which had previously severely injured Darth Maul. But most important for this fight, Darth Vader has routinely been able to take lightsaber attacks and keep on fighting. He's taking glancing blows from a lightsaber in the fight with Luke, taking a lightsaber to the head from Ahsoka, and took a lightsaber to the back from Commander Carbon. But just like with strength, Anakin is still deceptively durable. He's taken force lightning and electric attacks, which stood extensive torture, and started being near massive explosions, even though he's been severely injured and nearly killed by some of those blasts. He's taken multiple punches and kicks from a force-amped Ventress, and has actually routinely taken force attacks on the likes of Ventress, Dooku, Savage Opress, and even the Sun, who is a little manifestation of the dark side, one of the strongest force beings in the whole Star Wars mythos. Even his battle against Obi-Wan on Mustafar showcased some real impressive durability and pain tolerance, as Anakin had his limbs cut off, was all burnt to hell, yet still managed to climb his way up on the jagged rocks in order to survive. However, while Darth Vader might be stronger and more durable, Anakin Skywalker is definitely the faster, more agile one out of the two. He's regularly outpaced other Jedi like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and even Sith Lords like Count Dooku. Has dodged blast fire after they were fired, able to run so fast that he just appeared as a blur to others. He's routinely been able to blitz droids, even taking 10 droids in just 10 seconds. He'll dodge lightsaber strikes, jump insane distances, just generally move with superhuman speed, agility, and grace. But just like Anakin is surprisingly strong and tough, Vader is surprisingly fast and agile. He's been able to routinely move his lightsaber so quickly that it leaves behind blurs of light and aftermages. Been able to blitz opponents like it was nothing, and deflect barrages of laser blast like it was nothing. But this fight isn't going to be dictated just solely upon physicality. Yeah, granted it will play a key part in the fight, which is why we talked about it. But so much more of this is dependent upon their skillful lightsaber and their power in the Force. So how does that shake out? Well, starting out, Darth Vader is a whole lot more inclined to just spam his Force powers throughout the fight, probably because he isn't as agile and maneuverable in a duel as his younger counterpart. He's able to easily toss opponents aside or disarm them, redirect gunfire, or manipulate an opponent into firing against whoever and whenever he wants. Vader casually threw objects at Luke during their fight without even looking or gesturing at them. He's able to let you telekinetic wave, launch you backwards, and even power enough to destroy AT-AT walkers with the Force, or bring down ships and prevent them from flying. Vader's also very skilled at throwing and controlling his blade while in the air, throwing his blade to take down a Y-Wing, hurling his lightsaber during his battle with Luke, and even throwing his lightsaber into the mouth of the Lilac Queen, controlling what was inside of her, ripping her organs and innards apart. Vader also loves a good Force choke, choking countless foes throughout the years. Really, Darth Vader is incredibly versatile with the Force, being able to create Force barriers, and even absorb a Force push, absorb and deflect blaster bolts with his hands. He can use the Force to increase the intensity of his lightsaber, and actually consistently be able to prove that the Force can overcome machines and technology. But if Darth Vader has more versatility, well, Anakin Skywalker just has more raw power. Yes, we're going to do a lot of the same things as his older self, like lifting and throwing heavy objects, disarming opponents, using a Force push to send people flying backwards, or even occasionally pulling off a Force choke. However, the most important thing to note is that Anakin has managed to use his own raw Force power and potential to overwhelm the Force defenses of other skilled Jedi and Sith, people like Obi-Wan Kenobi, Asajj Ventress, and Count Dooku. Darth Vader doesn't really have those kinds of feats, seeing as how he never went up against powerful Force users like that since they were all pretty much dead. Anakin even has one of the greatest Force feats in all of Star Wars, maybe even the greatest Force feat, was to use the Force to battle against both the son and the daughter, who are the two most powerful beings in the Force besides the father. Just to put that into perspective, more powerful than both Yoda and Palpatine, and Anakin was able to battle against both at once. There's a reason why he's the chosen one, because he got the greatest connection to the Force that has ever been seen. So yeah, Vader might have more finesse, control, and versatility with the Force, but I'm going to take Anakin's much greater raw power more often than not. So about fighting skill. Well, Grand Moff Tarkin has said that he's never seen someone use a lightsaber as rapid or as lethal as Vader. He's able to block blaster power from an entire squadron of rebels at point-blank range, easily block against multiple droids, firing at multiple different angles. He's able to take down entire groups of rebels by himself. He's even knowledgeable all 7 forms of lightsaber fighting, whereas most Jedi and Sith are just knowledgeable and masters of 1 or 2. However, here's the thing. While Vader is knowledgeable in all 7 forms, he's no longer a master in any one particular form. After receiving the cybernetic enhancements in armor, he had to retool his fighting style, becoming much more direct than he was previously, and forming more of a hybrid fighting style in order to fit his new body. I bring this up because we never really saw this new hybrid style used against anybody of any notable skill, with the only 2 exceptions being Ahsoka and Luke, and neither of them are Anakin when it comes to lightsaber combat. I mean, Anakin's skills are some of the best. His primary style of combat is Form 5. And he's been stated to be one of the best Form 5 users that Count Dooku's ever seen. On top of that, we know that Obi-Wan taught Anakin Form 3 as a Padawan, and seeing as able to dual-wield lightsabers, he's skilled in Form 6 too. In short, the knowledge of lightsaber forms is vast and wide. It's actually Anakin's favorite to pass on to practice and learn new lightsaber combat. And unlike Vader, Anakin has proven his skill against some of the best lightsaber fighters of all time. He's gone against Ventress, Barriss, Obi-Wan, Dooku. He's battled against swarms of manga guards, who are programmed and trained in all forms of lightsaber combat, to even kill the whole Jedi Temple. In fact, you could argue the only reason Anakin lost Obi-Wan Kenobi on Mustafar is because he was unstable in the mind as he was transforming into Darth Vader. The acts he committed were too much for him. He just murdered his wife, and he was no longer in a sound state of mind. In this fight, he will be in a sound state. So, at the end of the day, who wins? Well, Darth Vader definitely has some advantages in this fight, namely strength, durability, and greater versatility with the Force. But Anakin is faster and much more agile. He's got a lot more raw potential in the Force, is a greater fighter, and lightsaber duelist on top of that. Really, there's a reason why Anakin Skywalker is the chosen one and not Darth Vader. If you don't believe me, that's what George Lucas, the end-all, be-all of the Star Wars universe, had to say about it. Anakin, as Skywalker, as a human being, was going to be extremely powerful, but ended up losing his legs and an arm and became partly a robot. So a lot of his ability to use the Force, a lot of his powers are curbed at this point, because as a living form, there's not much of him left. So his ability to be twice as good as the Emperor disappeared, not even be 20% less than him. So that isn't what the Emperor had in mind. He wanted this really super guy, but that got derailed by Obi-Wan. So he finds that with Luke, he can get a more prime version if he can turn Luke to the dark side. And I know this is from the expanded universe, so not technically canon for this fight, but I just really love this quote that I found describing how Darth Vader is now a shell of his former self. You are so far less now than what you were. You're more than half machine. You're like a painter gone blind, a composer gone deaf. You remember where the power was, but the power you can touch is only a memory. Wow, if that doesn't just drive it home, I don't know what does. Darth Vader might be much more interesting and iconic form of the character, but like it or not, he's not the more powerful. That honor goes to Anakin all the way. Anakin Skywalker is coming out on top here. Anakin Skywalker wins. But what do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts. Sign off in the comments down below. Also, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe button, turn notifications on the DanCo army, and I will see you all next time.